Oops. Wait a minute. Something's telling me to edit something. Take that off there. Remove. Okay. Save changes. And okay, we're live now. Welcome to the Evergrow Win Show, Life Literacy Show, and this is the first show of its kind. And I'm so excited for today. I was telling Dorcas and Sir Rivers before the show, I actually feel like I'm winning a Grammy because we're actually going to get this message out of what Evergrow Wins is all about. So I want to thank Reverend Dorcas Kavod. Thank you from Kenya. And I want to thank Sir Clyde Rivers for being the first ever guest for our show. And how I'm coming up with this with the guest is men are also a part of Evergrow Wins because we need them so much to be a part of Evergrow Wins and stand by us. And we need to, they value us as much as we value them. So that's what we need. And that's the reason I'm bringing men in to interview them and getting their side of what they see with the life literacy of Evergrow Wins. So welcome, Sir Clyde Rivers and Reverend Dorcas to the first Life Literacy Show.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And so I would just want to explain to you a little bit about what the Evergrow Wins Institute is about. And first of all, Reverend Dorcas is one of my students. And as soon as she finishes this last part of Evergrow Wins Institute, she will actually go into her master training for Evergrow Wins Institute. So very excited for that. And the Evergrow Wins Institute, we base it on 5 elements. And the 5 elements of life literacy is to identify, to understand, to interpret, to communicate, and to collaborate. Those are the 5 elements of life literacy with Every Girl Wins. And Dorcas, when I start interviewing her, I want her to give kind of a testimonial of her training with that, because what I always tell her is what, Mrs. Dorcas? Reverend Dorcas?
Trust the process.
Trust the process. I said, just trust the process.
Really good.
So just trust the process, because when we're teaching the classes, you're going to be like, why am I doing this? But once the process, once that lesson's over, you totally understand why the process is happening. So excited for that and everything. But if you want any information with Evergrow Wins Institute, just go to evergrowwins.com. It has my information there, and we can help you, in any way in teaching organizations, individuals, online, any way that we can get this out to girls and organizations and women around the world, we will.
Wow.
Yes. So, Reverend Dorcas, my first question to you is, first, give a testimonial about being a student with Evergrow Wins Institute.
Awesome. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Christine, for making me a guest in this great and historical show. And I'm really honored to share the platform with the greatest man in this world, iconic leader in our time. Sometimes when you are invited to share some the platform with such people, you are like, am I dreaming? Is it real? But I'm so much honored and humbled, sir, for sharing this platform with you. So, as Christine has said, I'm a student. I'm one of our students in the Every Girl Wins Institute, and it's been great all through. As she has said, she always keeps on telling me from the start that just trust the process. Because when we were starting, it was like, having gone through levels of education, interacting with lecturers in classes. This one was so different, and it was so amazing. So sometimes I was wondering, where is she getting to? But she could always remind me, please just trust the process. And with time, I learned to trust the process. I learned to trust her. And I tell you, it has been wholesome and it has been amazing. If there is any kind of learning that I should commend to all girls and women in the world is the live literacy in the Every Girls Wins Institute. Personally, it has transformed my life. In college education, the learning basically majors on teaching us, mentoring us towards our career, towards raising our businesses and all that. But in the Every Girl Wins literacy, life literacy learning, it is basically, and it majors on you as an individual. It is now empowering you to be a better you, so that you can become better in the area that you have majored on in your education. So I've been blessed, I've been revived, I've been renewed. All that I learned in the secular, curriculum has now become, we are now dealing with me as an individual. And I thank you, I tell you, it has been wonderful and wholesome. So thank you so much, Christine, for the opportunity. I've learned a lot and I've become better.
Yes, thank you. I mean, you're an amazing student. I tell people, she tells me I'm a great teacher because I tell her the reason I'm a great teacher is because she's a great student. She's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. Yeah, she's willing to be there and trust the process. That's what we do. Trust the process. So Reverend Dorcas, the other question I want to ask you is, one of the elements of life literacy is to identify. Why is it so crucial for females in the world to identify what's holding them back in life?
Thank you so much. That's a good question. And it's a great element in the courses to identify. Why? Because so many girls and women in the world today are battling with identity crisis. They are battling with what they have been through in their past, to a point whereby you can no longer identify yourself. You can no longer identify what you can do with yourself anymore. But through this live literacy, when you identify yourself, it helps you, first of all, like as we started the training, there was the live visioning. You vision your life. You imagine your life. You ask yourself who you are and what you are meant to be. And when you answer yourself all those questions, you realize you identify yourself, and you realize that the greater you could have been without things limiting you. And one of the major things that I learned in identifying myself is by scrutinizing and putting down all my limiting beliefs. That was a great course. I think it was the first one ever, and it was the best of all, because it was like putting myself down, looking myself outside me, and looking at the limiting beliefs, the things that have limited me, the things that have confused my identity, the things that have blocked whom God intended me to be and what I'm called for into this life. So that's a very good and a great element. And out of it, I have been able to identify my limiting belief. I put it down, I scrutinized it, and I've been able to speak to it. And actually, it was so amazing to some point. That's why she had always to remind me to trust the process, because at some level I was supposed to vision my limiting belief, identify it, give it even a name, and that was awesome. And it was amazing. To my own, I called my limiting belief an irritating nanny. That force that speaks behind my mind, and it was so amazing. After identifying the name, she pushed me and told me, you have not identified fully. Go ahead and draw that irritating nanny. And I tell you, it was at that level I was like, oh, Dr. Christine, am I doing this? But after doing that, it was amazing. So that element helped me. I identified my limiting belief. I identified where I'm supposed to be in my present, my current time, where I'm supposed to be in my future. And I was to quit and forsake and divorce completely that irritating nanny to be who I am today. So that identification was very important to me.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I love it. And like I said, you're an amazing student. And when she first told me about the nagging nanny, I was like, that's a great name. Because I call mine negative Nancy. That's mine. That mindset that tells me that I can't. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, Nancy, just go away.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And in our class, I actually have them draw, what it
Yeah,
looks like to them, and actually bring it out from their mind. We bring it out on paper for
sure.
them. So that's the way we do it. So the next question, I'm actually going to ask this to, unless you have a question for her. Do you have a question for her, Dr. Ruth?
No, no. I mean, this is amazing. This is just, yeah. I'm blown away. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So I want to ask you the next question. The next question is, one of the elements in life literacy is communication. Okay. In communication, you just did a movement on civility for all. And that it has to do with communication. You have to
True.
communicate. Okay, and with the girls and the females of the world, and some that they don't have a voice, they cannot, because if their voice, if they speak up, we know in certain cultures,
Yeah.
that's life or death for
Yeah.
that. But there's some that can, but don't know how to speak up and communicate with what they're wanting in life and what they deserve in life, and their equality for women and their human rights. How would you tell these girls around the world, and you've traveled around the world, and you've been in third world countries and developing countries, you've been in all that, how would you tell these girls that sees women like myself, how would you tell them how to speak and communicate for equal rights and human rights?
Man, that's a phenomenal question, and this is going to sound like it's staged, but it's not staged.
Mm-mm.
Your life literacy program is something that every girl needs, because most education in the world, it doesn't teach you about you. It teaches
Sure.
you about everything else except for you. And one of the scary things in life is to grow up and not know you,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
not know you. And I believe life literacy is a component to where it's almost like it's what you have to tear down in order to build up. And everything I do, I start with a realistic expectation. Women may not, in some places, may not be able to speak up overnight, but if the life literacy process begins to take place, they will grow their narrative.
Mhm.
Because one of,
Sure.
one of the challenges I see in the world now is people see a problem and they think it'll change overnight, but it can't change overnight because the mentality hasn't changed overnight.
Mhm.
And I would encourage every young woman, every lady in the world, please contact Dr. Kozachuk for life literacy, because until you know you, whoever you go to has the power to manipulate you. And because what takes place is this: people assume that every system wants the best for them. Well, every system doesn't want the best for you.
Mhm.
Some of those systems they want you to learn how to manage so you can manage their resources, and they own it. But life literacy, we want you to own you. And when you own you, then no one can manipulate you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you was talking about you knowing you, for me, I just turned 50 years old, and even though I had went through what I had went through, and those that don't know my story about being pregnant at 13, having my son at 14, married at 14, having 2 more children with him by the time I was 18, through abusive relationship, walking out with no education, and the children on my hip, no transportation, living in poverty, and creating an amazing life of the businesses that I have created. But what I didn't know was at the age of 45, I took a personal class to really kind of find who I was, like Every Girl Wins Institute, because Christine didn't know who Christine was. Because she'd always been a mom, she'd always been a wife, but she didn't know. So with Every Girl Wins, I show you, you don't have to wait until you're 45.
Wow.
I mean, and Dorcas is taking the class. She has, one last section of which is the entrepreneurship. She knows how it's sectioned, and the other students know how it's sectioned in a way to find exactly, because at very first part with life literacy, that's what we hone in on, is your limiting beliefs and who you are.
Well, and Christine, one of the things, the reason why this is vital in this day and hour, because as the world opens back up after COVID, the world will not be the same. It will not be the same world. And what happens is, this is truly a day of innovation, because as the world now is not looking at old data that's irrelevant. What has made data in this day not as relevant is no one ever imagined a COVID interruption. A COVID interruption of the world has literally changed the way the world operates. And as the world opens back up, countries are not going to be giving to the poor nations, because every day the world's not open, they're getting more in debt. So now life literacy is not an option, it's a must. So people must be able to know who they are. They must be able to know how to create their own economy. So that's why I really love the work of Every Girl Wins.
Yes, Every Girl Wins. And speaking of the economy, an economical part of it, we have an economical part of it, and through that economical part, and that's actually what Reverend Dorcas is going through now. Well, she's at the end of, I think we have one more class of that, and she's going through that part. But it's what we have is called a Plant a Garden project. And that's through the life literacy program of the economical part of it. And what this economical life literacy plant a garden project, what that does is, we had came up with that when COVID first started, because most developing and most third world countries, what's happening is they're more worried about starvation than they are the COVID-19. So we can train them now and have donors to support these girls and these females to learn how to plant a garden. Then they will have food on their table. They don't have to worry about the starvation. The extra produce they can sell to make income for that.
Really good.
So then what happens with that? They are self-sufficient, and they also have self-confidence.
Wow.
That is one of the part of the economic part of Every Girl Wins that we work with, is on that part. And we just did a huge one in Kenya with another gentleman, Dominique, that actually had helped put a garden together with 3 women under that project. So that's very exciting.
And you know what? And I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the great Dr. Juma.
I know.
Dr. Juma Nation is a great man, and I need to acknowledge that man, because his wife Dorcas is great as well. So we love you guys. We love you.
So it's like, Dr. Juma, he's watching. See, he's definitely watching. He's absolutely amazing. I tell Reverend Dorcas all the time, I said, you have a huge supporter like I do. My husband, I tell him he's my biggest fan, and Reverend Dorcas, Juma is her biggest fan. Yes, absolutely. Yes. He is her biggest fan.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm humbled by that. One thing I thank God is for bringing you people into our lives, because we've really learned a lot, and I thank God that Juma is not just a husband to me, but a mentor. The man teaches me literally everything. And that's why I always know that if we can have, as our sir always says, civility for all. If we can have civility in our houses, in our homes, where men will respect their wives and not make them to be like their own properties, but train them, mentor them, plant seeds in them, and then give them out to the world. They can be a great solution and great help. So I'm so much honored to have him around me.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
Yes, and talking about great men, and the thing I always tell women, I have this always this question: how did you find a great man? You find one that values you and knows your worth as much as you know theirs. That's how you
Mm,
find a great man.
very good.
Absolutely, yeah, great. So the next part that I want to go through is we have an International Every Girl Wednesday, which is on March the 13th. And through that, March the 13th, what we do is we stand for females all around the world for equity and human rights and all that. And what we stand for is education, life literacy. We stand for healthcare, life literacy. We stand for economic life literacy, and we stand for entrepreneurship, life literacy. And we stand with that by having talks on that day, having lectures on that day, and just sending encouragement, whether or not it's through a letter or text or phone call, to women in our lives, and it's supporting them.
Wow.
So we're standing for that. So I want to go through education, life literacy. And Reverend Dorcas, you are a teacher, and you teach the beautiful little kids. So what I want to know from you is, why is it so important for the girl child, to
Mm.
get an education as the male child?
A great question there, Christine. It is very important for the girl child to attain the same education level like the male child. Because right now, as it stands in the whole world, for anyone to be in a position of leadership, you must have some qualification, some
Mhm.
educational qualification. And it is very important because what we see happening, especially in most countries, is that up to today, girl education has not been given priority. And that means that the women leadership will not be realized. The potential that women carry in leadership will not have any place for manifestation. So it's very important for the girl to be trained the same as the man. One thing I believe about a woman, sometimes it sounds crazy in me, but sometimes I sit down and ask myself, if a woman gives birth to a president, that means that the woman has a potential of becoming a president. How can you give birth to a leader and not have the potential of leadership in you? So women
Oh,
can
wait,
become
Dorcas,
everything.
hang on, Dorcas. That's a mic drop.
Yes, it
You,
is.
my goodness. Keep
That's
going, Dorcas. Wow.
Thank you so much, sir. I keep on thinking that way sometimes, and actually, that is what inspires me and motivates me to rise above what I may be facing. Because women give birth to doctors, that means they can become doctors. They give birth to pilots, which means they are pilots number one. So everything in the world, in the name of mankind, comes out of a woman. That means that the woman has the ability and the possibility of becoming all that. But without educational empowerment, the woman can never realize that. And many times, girls are left at home in some places. The boys are told to go to school. And at the end of the day, we keep on going back to the olden days where leadership positions were only held by men. So I declare that it is, I don't know whether I should declare or say that it is very important and crucial for the girl child to be given the same importance in education like the man, for a better balance in leadership and for better development and growth in the nations of the world.
Mm, I love that, Dorcas. And so I have another question. So we know we have trailblazers that and pioneers like Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, and we have the Nelson Mandela. We've had them to stand for the rights of people. So and then we have people like ourselves, the future, the you know the not the future, but the present pioneers will be the pioneers that are standing for these women. So, what do you think in education? What do you think sometimes we get knocked back and we're not able to move forward and we're not put in those positions?
Sometimes I think what knocks us down is the situations and the environment, sometimes which the girl child and women grow through. The challenges that come our way in the process of learning, in the process of schooling. Like right now during the pandemic, we realized that there were girls who were in the same class with some boys. And they will, as the pandemic comes to an end, they will not be able to go back to school. Why? They have become teen mothers. They have become young mothers. That means that they have been left behind. Their a dream of education has been paused. So some of the challenges and the environments that girls grow in challenge a lot. That's why I would say, like Saribas, that it is the high time we even try to practice civility, even in our homes, in schools. I think these things should be included, even in our curriculums, in
Yeah.
schools. Why? It will help young men and boys to know how to respect that girl that they are schooling together with. They will be meant to understand that this girl has a dream the same way I have a dream,
Yes.
and they will be able to grow together, interact together, respecting each other, and they will all come out very successful. And when they reach at the level of leadership, they will be able to compete at bar. So the challenges knock us down. But if we can practice some civility in schools, in homes where we are coming from, because even some parents do not believe in their girls going to school. Why I talk passionately about this is because I know what it means to have a dream of education post. It happened to me. I know what it means to suffer because you want to accomplish something, but because of the level that you are in, you cannot be able to accomplish it. So going forward, civility should be introduced everywhere, in homes, in schools. Let everybody respect the girl child, and let the girl child be given an equal opportunity in education like the boy child.
Yes. I totally.
And Christine, if you don't mind me, and we're gonna go to government and make them change laws, because the issue is the policy. The issue is policies on the books, and in the policy room it says everything is equal, everything is there, but it's not. So we have to hold the politicians and the leaders accountable for this. And this is why, Christine, I love your initiative, because we're going to push this thing around the world, and they will not be able to look me in the eyes and tell me this is just. Because this morning I posted on my Facebook wall, change isn't change until it's changed. Because everyone says, I know I need to change, but change isn't changed until it looks different and it's changed. So we are no longer gonna be watch this here, talked into. And see, Dorcas, I mean, you can't say what I'm about to say. The issue in Africa is tribalism, and that thing needs to be addressed, dismantled, because what people don't understand is this: 7.8 billion people in the world have a God-tribution. A contribution, they have a God-tribution.
Yes.
They have a gift from Almighty God that's called to help the countries grow. So every girl in Kenya every girl in Africa, every girl in America has an idea that God created them to bring into the earth. So this is what's taking place. I'm sorry, I'm on a box right now.
Nope.
What's taking place in the world right now is God is dealing with injustice. Injustice is bowing to the King of Kings. And we have to, and what I love, Christine, about your institution is you are teaching the right education. Well, how can you go through school, get all this education, and not learn about you? That's the most incivil act in the world, to educate you out of your mind and into another person's mind. But we're not, guys. I'm about this work every day. We are getting places. We're going to impact, and we will see this change take place.
Wow, that's very, very powerful. And so that's the change. When you say that got the change, for me, change isn't change until it's changed. For me, it's not change until you take action. And we need people like ourselves. You know, we had like Mother Teresa, we had Martin Luther King, we had Nelson Mandela, and we had all these, you know, people to stand in these trailblazers and the pioneers. But we have people like that that has to continue. And you know, I've had people state to me, well, you know, why should I? Because nothing's going to happen. Well, if you don't at least take action and try, you're absolutely right. Nothing's going to happen.
And Dr. Christine, you're the wrong person to ever tell that.
Yes.
If someone tells you that, they just signed a contract for you to win. Because that what you're doing, what you've established, and what you've created is this. Please, let me just tell you something. When you bring a new initiative or a new policy, it actually takes about 5 to 10 years for the culture to be created. So everything we're doing now, we're creating a new culture. We are you're interrupting an old system with a new culture. And that's why you and Reverend Dorcas are the new pioneers. You have interrupted the old with a new, and watch, in about 10 years, the whole culture will shift because you had an idea, Dr. Christine.
Of life literacy. And I have women like Reverend Dorcas that stand up and say, hey, you know, they're raising their hands and say, hey, Christine, I want to help. And, you know, I want to educate. And there's women like her, and there's men like yourself the same way. I want to help. I want to support what you're doing to assure that the, you know, life literacy is taught to these girls and they're able to see and have their dreams fulfilled, as you know, as I've had. So, you know, huge thank you, you know, to both of you for that. So my next question is, I'm going to start with Dr. Rivers. Is one of the things with International Every Girl Wednesday, and I feel so excited for that. It's like I'm already 6 months in planning in advance. So.
Yeah.
Is our entrepreneurship life literacy? How important is it, especially to developing countries or third world countries, for us to stand and for us to teach entrepreneurship life literacy to females around the world? How important is that?
This is the most important component in the world right now, because watch this here. When you teach people how, they can do it in any generation. They can do it in any day. And what you're doing, you're opening up an element that will take away people's control. See, let me just give you some information. Education has been a way to talk people into management is the best for you. When you go to school, you get a business management degree. Well, I want a business owner degree. Well, how come most colleges have management? Because they want to educate you to manage their stuff. So most of the education systems are built by things that want to institutionalize your thinking and make you think your idea is wrong. And I want to go to another point. Never, ever sell your stage.
Mm.
Most people with an idea, an entrepreneur, they will sell the stage. Smart people never sell the stage, because when you own the stage, you grow the narrative. So every girl learning about entrepreneurship is vital, but teach them never sell the product, not the stage.
Mm. That's powerful. Yeah, that's very powerful. And see, one of the parts of the entrepreneurship, the entrepreneur part of life literacy with Every Girl Wins is with Reverend Dorcas, and I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about what she started the first of the year with her chicken business. So I want her to talk about that. This is phenomenal. We're going to put a book together. Well, she's going to put a book together on this. So it takes, a lot of research and things like this that she's doing, but I'm going to let her talk about the entrepreneurship on that.
Well, that's wonderful. I like what Rivers is saying, that you should not sell the stage, sell the product. And that's so amazing. Entrepreneurship is the way to go. And I think after the pandemic, everything will not go back to normal as usual, because most people are no longer holding the jobs that they were holding. But there is a lot that one can do with themselves. And in the life literacy, as we learn with Christine, we have come to realize that women have a lot of potential. And with the potential that they have, they can be great entrepreneurs. And this needs them to be mentored and to be inspired to do that. What I have done with the chicken project, as Christine is saying, one day I sat down and I thought about myself in the course of learning as we were doing the course. And then I went back to myself. I looked at my origin, and even where in the old days in my culture, I come from a community whereby we were known for long distance trade. The Akamba community were known for that. They could move for long distances, carrying things for trade. And they could go to other communities, exchange those products for money. So for other products, it was barter trade that time. So I came to realize that having that origin, that means that entrepreneurial blood runs in me, and I can do something. And many times when people think about entrepreneurship, they think about capital, they think about the money, they think about where they will get the resources. But I have come to realize that the first thing you think when you are doing things to do with the entrepreneurship, think about your ability, the possibilities that you have, the potential that you have, the vision that you have, and then you write it down. God was very wise to tell Habakkuk that the vision is for an appointed time. So write it down. So I sat down and I wrote down the vision that I had. When I was writing down, I had nothing. I didn't even know where I would get the first capital from. But I had a vision, I wrote it down, and then I presented it to God, and I told God, this is what I want to do. I've never done it. I don't know how it will happen, but I must do it. And that's when I started. The first time I bought three chicks, and it looked amazing. When I could see them moving around the compound, some life came out of me. I was inspired, and I was like, so I can do something. And then I went ahead, I increased the number to 10, and the rest is history. Today, out of that project, I'm able to provide something for my family. I'm able to provide income and all that. But it all started with realizing I have potential, I have the ability. And then I just wrote the vision down, and everything is a story. So going forward, even after the pandemic, and even right now, before we wait for it to end, I think this is a season God is giving us an opportunity to be innovative, because every one of us has a God-given talent inside, has a
Yes.
God-given ability inside. And this time, no wonder learning has stopped. There is no more schooling. But I think what is happening is God's schooling over everyone. You sit down and realize what is in you, what has never manifested, because we have been learning after the managerial skills and trainings, and we left what God created in us to bring a change in the world. So entrepreneurship is possible for women. It is possible for everyone. Look down inside you and you will realize you have a lot of potential.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about that, Reverend Dorcas, and some of the books that I have written in my story, that those that know my story, is that my husband and I started a business that we've had for almost 26 years with $50. And that has created an amazing life for us.
Wow.
And so you don't have to have all this money that people tell you have to have. What I always say, you have to have that will, and you have to have that burning desire to get up out of that bed every single morning
Yeah.
and want better for not just yourself, but your family
Wow.
Sure.
You
every
see,
morning.
Dr. Christine, what makes this movement so effective is you, because you teach what you've lived.
Mm-hmm.
You are
Sure.
not coming from theory. You have done everything. And the one thing I respect about you the most, and most people won't teach people what they know, but
Mm-hmm.
you have a humble heart, and you're teaching people how you became successful, and you're empowering the world. This is so difficult to find. People want to show people halfway, but they want to always keep the special part they have. But
Mm-hmm.
you give the special part away, and thank you for that.
You know what, Doctor? There's 7.8 billion people in this world. There's enough to go around for all
Mm,
of us.
mm.
Because when we pass, we're not taking it with us.
Wow, wow,
Mm,
really
mm,
good,
We're not taking it with us.
really
So
good.
my knowledge gets to go to the other people that's willing, and that's the thing, willing to
yeah.
accept my knowledge. Because there is people out there that like, nope, don't want nothing to do with it. You're okay. But there are people that's willing, because you have to, like I said, you get up every morning with that burning desire to want more.
Yeah.
And I offer it to that 7.8 billion people out there. And that's the way we all should be, is, giving it, because when we pass, like I said, it's not going with us. And that comes to my last question of the day, is about collaboration. So I'm going to talk to you about that with Dr. Rivers, about collaboration, because 7.8 billion people,
Mm,
and that's one of the elements of Every Girl Wins, is collaboration. And if we can collaborate together, and I know that you've heard me say this before about collaboration. For example, and I'm from the country, so please forgive me. I'm from the country, So I always explain it this way: you have one pie here, and you have three pies here, and you have one person at the table with one pie, and you have, well, actually, you have two pies. Excuse me, you have two pies. You have one on one table. You have one person here, and you have three people here. Who do you think is going to eat the pie the fastest? The three people, right? So that's, to
yeah.
me, it's collaboration. You will get things done faster by collaborating with others in the world than you are trying to do it alone.
Wow, that's so good.
Mm,
Yeah,
That's
mm,
powerful.
yes.
Now, the reason why collaboration is important is, let me give you a picture. Education systems and governments of the world have created cookie cutter systems, but hear this: 7.8 billion people are unique. So the reason why the world is unraveling is cookie cut has just met individuality. So the power of collaboration is, my experience is my truth. Your experience that's different than mine is your truth. So if we come together now, we get we expand our knowledge base, and that gives us the ability to reach more people and empower more people, because each of our ideas broaden our perspective. And that's why collaboration is the most vital thing in the world, because the other person has a different experience. So for us to believe we're in the day where a group at the top can really narrate everyone, the world's falling apart at the seams, because God is saying, no, 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 no. You will not manage my currency that way anymore. My currency with my ideas and people will allow the world to become a better place, and that's through collaboration. Thank you.
That's great. So the same question for you, Reverend Dorcas, about collaboration. And I know with the Every Girl Wins Institute, and one of the things that we work on with collaboration is what we call Kavod. Kavod is climate, it's about climate control. And it's climate control for the leaders in the community to put cap on what's affecting their climate in their community.
Wow.
So what does collaboration for you with life literacy, why is that so important for your community and for the females in your community?
Wow, I would say that collaboration is very important, as Sarivas has said, because everyone has a different experience, different ideas, different skills. And when they are brought together, they bring a greater impact than when each skill is operating alone. In the CAP that we are doing about climate change, collaboration has been the key thing that is making us succeed, because we came to realize that climate change is here with us. It has come. We need to adjust and move forward and make changes and know how we are going to live with it. But this is happening in different places, in different ways. So when we bring together the challenges from all these places, and then each brings their own minds and their own way which they think we can tackle this issue, it becomes easier for all of us. And we may not be able, we came to realize one thing as I was sharing with the team that I'm working, as I was talking to them about collaboration, I was telling them that we may not be able to change the whole world at once, but we can start somewhere. How do we start somewhere? By bringing all our resources together, bringing all our minds together, our ideas together, and then we pull together and we begin somewhere to help the communities. And so collaboration is very, very important. Any group of people united, they are able to stand. But when they are divided, they fall. And that's what we are experiencing in almost every aspect of the world today, in leadership, politically, socially, religiously, everywhere. People have decided to go alone, and that's why there is no greater impact. But now, as Dr. Rivers has said, it's like God has decided to come down and destabilize everything and create a new way of doing things, whereby regardless of where you are coming from, regardless of your level, your status, regardless of your religion, we are able to come together, pull together, and create a better world for everyone. So I would say that collaboration is the way to go.
Yes, and I'm such a true believer in collaboration. And as I state, there's 7.8 billion people out there. How many collaborations can we have? I mean, we can have 7.8 collaborations of people out there. I mean, there's so much that we can do if we could collaborate with people and not being, being the managing director of an international organization, what I saw with collaboration is you have some that the ones that were collaborating, they went high. The other ones thought they were going to do it by themselves, they're the ones that's out here in the world still trying to figure out how to do it with people that collaborated.
Yes.
Yes. And that. So any last questions before we go? We have 10 minutes left. So Dr. Rivers, any last minute a message for,
Man,
our,
Christina, I'm so happy you started this show. This here, I'm telling you, this is your niche right here. Life literacy for people. Man, thank you. And my Reverend Dorcas, I had no idea you were that brilliant. You are a brilliant lady, and I'm honored to be your first one of your first guests with the great with the great Dorcas. I'm happy. Thank you.
Reverend Dorcas, any last minute, statements to say to the female, even the males out there, before we go?
Thank you so much, Dr. Christine. Thank you so much, Sir Rivers. I'm so much honored. This was a great show, and it's a great privilege to share this platform with both of you, great leaders in the whole world. And this is what we are talking about, collaboration. I am so far away in Africa. You are somewhere there, and now we are collaborating together and helping the world together. So my final word to everyone out there is that I will just use a quote that Dr. Juma always says, that a life without understanding becomes an experiment. If you don't have an understanding of your life and what you are meant to do, you will keep on experimenting everything that comes your way. And that is what so many people are doing. So I will encourage each one out there, please look for Dr. Christine. Enroll in the live literacy classes. Regardless of your degrees and your level of education, you will come to realize that there is a better you, more than higher than the pilot that you are, the doctor that you are. And for the women out there, we are able. Yes, we can. We gave birth to the presidents. We can become the president.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, and God bless you so much.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, and so thank you both so much for, I just, thank you both so much. I just missed a thing here. Wait just one second. I want to thank some people, Kate Dickey, Dr. Reuben West, Juma, my husband, our biggest supporters ever, and those that, let's say Precious Perry. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. And the one thing that I want to tell people, if you want to get in contact with me in any way, you can go to my website, everygirlwins.com. You will there's an email there, there's a phone number there. Contact me with what you're needing for life literacy. And I highly recommend this for anyone of the world, even the most experienced person. Like for myself, I built businesses, I built this, that I had to go through a personal training to understand who I was.
Yeah.
So I really recommend this from anyone, any female out there that wants to move to the next level and know who they are and to create the dream that they're at their lifespan.
If you don't mind me interjecting, let me tell you why it's important that you go through life literacy. Let me give you a brief example. A gentleman went to a pastor. He was having issues in his marriage, and he went and told the pastor, he says, I've done everything it says in the Bible, and it's not working. And that's what the pastor said. The pastor said, now get to know the God that wrote the Bible, and he's the one that will give you the wisdom. So for every smart, educated person out there, what you can learn from like Dr. Christine is what the books didn't teach you. That's priceless.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. Thank you, Dr. Rivers. Thank you so much for everything. And I want to thank you both again for being on the show and giving all the wisdom and being that future trailblazer, being that Mother Teresa, being that Martin Luther King, being that Nelson Mandela, and for all the other ones that's out there, that Dr. Juna, my husband, Dr. West, and I know there's others that's on our feed. Just thank you and keep supporting women and the females of the world. And, you know, let's celebrate March the 13th. Let's celebrate all females. So again, thank you. Go to everygirlwins.com, and I look forward to, you know, working with each and every one of you.
Perfect.
Thank you.